Hello, and welcome to For Such a Time as This, Living with Curiosity, Creativity, and Courage. My name is Lynn Donovan, and I am the theologian in residence at St. Andrew's Church in Picton. We have been thinking about those characters within our biblical text who are giving us insights as to how we might live in such a time as this. But it strikes me, as I have been sharing with you stories of Esther and Ruth and Abraham and Sarah, sharing stories of their courage and their chutzpah and their ability or decision to trust a future that was unknown, a decision to live and walk in vulnerability, that it's quite possible that we haven't shared the whole story. So, what part of the story do we not hear when we peek into those archetypal characters? We don't get the gory details. We don't get the wrestling, the sobbing, the retreating, the hitting the walling. We just get the invitation and then the response to move forward. And so I would not be telling the truth if I did not as well suggest that there are lots of challenging moments and quite possibly lots of tears in these archetypal movements. And so I'd like to offer a psalm of lament, which is also part of the biblical tradition. The book of Psalms is full of lament songs. We have a whole book of Lamentations, which was an expression of profound grief by the people of Jerusalem at the loss of their city. The Babylonians came in, razed the city, razed the temple, and took many of them off into exile. And so we have these lamentation poems that are intended to express that which the heart can barely hold. And so I think it's time to live in the spirit of Esther, who had to summon up courage for a cosmic assignment that involved saving her people. I think we have to live in the faithfulness and vulnerability of Ruth, who agreed to accompany her mother-in-law, another very vulnerable woman, back to her homeland in the hopes that a new future would break up open for them. And I think we have to live with the resignation and hope of Abraham and Sarah as they decide and agree to a journey whereby they had to leave so much of what they knew behind, and yet were unaware of what was ahead of them. So I suspect that all of these decisions, all of them, were accompanied by moments of anger and sorrow, maybe even resentment and tears before the yes was final. So I'm going to share with you a psalm of lament written by a woman whose name is Anne Weems. She wrote a whole book of laments after the tragic accidental death of her 21-year-old son. And I offer these words to you because I know that these words and this wobbliness that is also part of this journey need to be acknowledged. And they are part of what we are passing through right now as well. But these words are also part of the healing and the grace that is part of this season. Oh God, can't you do anything for your wounded ones who walk the earth in mournful resignation? We are the ones who carry our burdens in silence. We wear the masks of everyday politeness, trying bravely to hold back the tears that so readily come. We walk in loneliness, not wanting to mar the joyful lives that we perceive in others. We are the ones who cry in the night, the ones whose hearts pound, whose stomach knots, whose heads split with pain. We are the ones who are paralyzed by fear or shame. We are the ones who walk around with our lives in upheaval, hoping against hope that the worst will not come. We are the ones who kneel before you now to pray for your mercy. Can't you do anything for us? Couldn't you at least take care of a few of us? We would be grateful, for we have compassion for one another. You are our God, and we learned mercy from you. Wrap your arms about your wounded ones, O God, O our God. Keep us from harm, for we walk each day in the hope of your healing mercy. And so, friends, I offer you these words, and I offer you sentiments coming from my own pilgrimage during this season that invite you to be tender and patient and gracious with your heart, and to seek grace and tenderness again and again for yourself and for all of us from the mystery that we call God. Blessings as you make the road by walking tentatively, one step at a time.